We welcome guests today at tables hosted by Baker and Hostetler, Cleveland State University, Cuyahoga Community College, the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, Forest City, KeyBank, Medical Mutual, and Patrick A. Sweeney and guests. Today's forum is the Larry and Barbara Robinson Family Foundation Forum, made possible by a generous gift from longtime City Club members Larry and Barbara Robinson. Joining us at the head table today is Barbara Robinson. Mrs. Robinson, will you please stand and be recognized? Thank you very much. Today's program is part of the 2010 KeyBank Diversity Thought Leadership Series. We appreciate the support very much and would like to ask Margot James Copeland, Executive Vice President, Corporate Diversity and Philanthropy, and Chair of the KeyBank Foundation, and Robert Lane, President of the Central Ohio District of KeyBank, to stand to accept our thanks. Thank you. Now we would like to return to our speaker for our traditional City Club question and answer period. We welcome questions from everyone, including guests. Holding the microphone today is City Club Development Director Cheryl Heldon and Program Director Kerry Miller. First question, please.
Provost Alutto, you spoke with great detail about the thousands of hours of volunteer service that are given by college students in Ohio, a very commendatory thing. Years ago, not so many years ago as a matter of fact, college students throughout the country were very involved in the social issues of the day. I'm thinking particularly of the environmental questions which came up and also the war, particularly the war in Vietnam. What evidence do you see today that college students who are so anxious to get their degree and get out in the world and pay back their student loans, what evidence do you see today that those students are doing the same kind of thing as their predecessors did years ago, especially now we have two wars going on, and we also have severe environmental problems?
Well, I think it's important to remember the last statement you made about the numbers of students who have great indebtedness, because that is a reality, that is a fact that they worry about. We see a great deal of student involvement and interest and passion about sustainability issues, about environmental issues. In fact, if I had to pick a single topic that seems to be driving much of the student interest that we see, that would be it. They're very concerned with national and international policies. I just spent 2 weeks in China. I get over there fairly frequently. And we've had student groups going to China raising serious questions about, for example, the way they're handling pollution issues, the way they're handling issues of water quality and so forth. And then trying to get themselves involved in international projects that will demonstrate the viability of different techniques and projects. And on campus, we have a number of student groups that, if I could use a phrase that I would not like quoted very much, drive us crazy with their concern for sustainability issues, which is what they should be doing. They should be asking questions that we find uncomfortable, because it's so much easier for us to fall back into patterns, repeating past history. So I don't see the lack of activism there. I really don't. And as I talk to my peers at different institutions, I see some very similar issues. The war issue is a very different question. I mean, I'll put something else on the table. There's no draft. In the absence of a draft, the immediacy of some of those issues goes away, and other issues come to the fore. So no, I don't see quite the same passion that there was during my days in college over the issue of the war, but I do see that same passion being evidenced in a variety of other ways. And so it's really a matter of priorities rather than the absence of a passion.
Doctor, as an alumnus of Ohio State University, I really want to know is when did Ohio State University become the Ohio State University? But more important, I really have another question, and that is, you talked about partnerships, and what does it take to create that partnership between the university and local business community? We in Cleveland, or myself in particular, feel that not enough for sure is being done with our good state universities and all the universities we have up here to create the economic development that they would do. What do you think is necessary?
Well, let me let me try if I can to go back. I don't know anything about the. So I can't help you with that one. The question of economic development is it's important to understand that we can only be partners in economic development. We are not going to be the sole reason for a region developing economically. But we have to be players as universities. And that player comes from in a number of different ways. The first is the one that everyone always talks about, creation of new jobs. And that happens in part through the commercialization activity that takes place. It comes in part because new ideas spin out of the activities, the basic research that's going on. But there's another thing that we do as a university that I think is just very important and underappreciated in all states, not just Ohio. And that is keeping firms here and keeping them profitable. A lot of the research that's going on, for example, out of our engineering school is with the already existing firms. It's making them more competitive. It's allowing them to do well in an increasingly global environment. That's not the creation necessarily of new firms, but it's sustaining the firms that we have here today and making them far more effective and more likely to be growing in the future. So it's two pieces. It's how do you create brand new jobs with new companies, and how do you sustain the jobs that you have in the firms that you have? A lot of it has to do with the willingness of individuals to sit down and listen to each other. If you're a business and you want some help from a university, you have to understand a little bit about what the university is about and how it operates, just as that university has to be open to you and to your ideas. My sense from meeting with all of the IUC presidents, inter-university council presidents and provosts, is that they're about as open as I've ever seen them to those issues. It's a matter really of their reaching out, and they're doing it in a variety of different ways at different institutions. And you're taking the initiative to talk with them and explain what your needs are and seeing where there is a community of interest so that you both can pursue. That's coming out of business schools on campuses, engineering departments, out of the basic sciences. For example, there's a lot of work now in biomedical engineering and in biology that's being done jointly with the private sector. So at least from my perspective, that's already happening. I'd be interested in specifics that you might have with a particular kind of help that you're looking for. But again, you have to remember, the university's job is not to run economic development. It's to be a partner in that and to contribute to it. And so there is, in that sense, a limited role that we can play, but it's an incredibly valuable role, and one where if we don't perform it, then economic development will not occur, because we are going to be the driver through many of the ideas that are coming out. Much of the work that comes through federally funded research ultimately will find its way into the private sector, and that's something for which you need strong research universities in this state, and we have them.